Welcome back. Today is hopefully, fingers crossed, the big day where we fire up the 3-rotor for the first time in the Volvo. She is a gusher. And Ben got electrocuted. And I think what we really needed was more pizza. We've got fuel, we've got water. The next thing, oil. Super nervous now. Yeah, that's a lot of money tied up in there. We've done so much work. I reckon we go for it. Stop the fire!
And I'ma do it again. Watch me. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
Last episode, you already seen us. We fit the body kit and the Volvo looked absolutely savage outside. In this video, we show you how to fit a Kevlar body kit to your Volvo 740 in about 10 minutes. That looks savage. If you didn't see that one, rewind and check that out because it looks dope. We've got the car back from Hell Performance. We've got all the wiring done by Phil and he's here now going through the final checks. We've been going through, me and Ben, checking all the fittings are tight. And now we're just going over the sensors and making sure everything is in place for startup. It's quite a nerve-wracking time. We've had this engine for a while now, but I don't expect any problems with the engine. We're just going to crack on. We're going to do the final tests, and then, yeah, let's see if she comes to life. Right, so first thing on the list of things to do now is put the spark plugs in. It came with some other plugs that we didn't use last time, so as we've got the map for the Corvette, we want it to be exactly the same. So I've taken the old ones out. I'm going to give these ones a clean up because these are second-hand from the Corvette. There was loads of space here for stuff like this until we had all the hoses. Now everything's tight. For those of you new to the channel, what we've got here is a Mazda 3-rotor, or Mazda 20B, so from the Mazda Cosmo originally. This has been fully built by Pulse Performance Race Engineering in New Zealand from brand new parts. It runs a G45 1500 turbo, and in the Corvette, which we have the same engine, we're making 1,000 horsepower. So she's pretty spicy. Right, so as much as you plan for everything to go right, when you come to first start, there's always some things that might not go right. So the main things, well really the main worry is fire really. That fuel is going to leak and spray somewhere, it's not going to start, it's going to backfire and then set on fire, or you're going to get electrocuted by something. So we had our first issue. Phil's done a lovely job with the wiring, and we were stressing out that there might have been a problem, but it turns out that was actually caused by myself and Ben fitting the gearbox, and we had trapped the gearbox wire in the bell housing. We were doing it from below and it had gone inside, so it was basically earthing alive onto the chassis. So. And Ben got electrocuted, so we've had the electrocution out of the way. Hopefully that's our only issue so far. Phil looked like he was going to kill me when he found it. Next up, we've got the spark plugs in, put the leads back on, and it's one more job ticked off the list. Oh, you can hear the throttle body moving. That's good. So can we comfortably say that that was the problem? Right, spark plugs are done. Phil's checking out the wiring. Everything seems to be working so far now that we've got rid of the short circuit that I created. Next up, we can start putting some water in the radiator and see if I've got any leaks. This is pretty cool. Dash all working. Got the new IC10 from Haltech, which looks really sick. The new software that we've got, you can actually customize, so maybe we can get somebody to make a replica Volvo dash. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? We've got deionized water. That just means it's really pure. So we just use that with driven CSP, which is called Coolant System Protector, and that just helps lower the water surface tension, which then makes you don't get big bubbles, so it works even better. So that's 5 litres in, it's a good start. Any water leaks? Looking good so far. We now need to run the water pump, which Phil can do in a minute when he's finished what he's doing next. So I'm going to fill that up, because this thing takes quite a lot of water.
Look, that one there.
Okay, well it's not leaking from the welds, so that's good.
Tight.
Cool. Well, it's better those ones be loose than the fuel lines. Phil said plug the pumps in, so I'm doing what he says because he made a really scary face at me earlier when I crashed his wiring. Cool, well it's definitely working. I think we're good. Right, Let's go back down. So the time has come to put in the Sunoco E85. So we've got a flex fuel sensor on this car, so we can run it on unleaded or E85. But as we've got a, well, if you've got E85, why wouldn't you use it? So we've also got the map on E85, so just giving it a little shake to mix up the two-stroke oil, and then we can put that in. Anti-climax. Doesn't do anything. It's rubbish. Another crap thing I bought. What? Yeah. No. Oh, hang on. There was 2 sets of batteries for this. I'll be back. Don't know which direction this goes. Oh no, like that. I'll give it 2 events with the E85 eats this pump. We've got the water in. Next up is the fuel. We haven't actually finished our nice dry brake mounting, so we've got this big old donkey on here that we can, Ben's gonna hold for me. We've got fuel, we've got water. The next thing, oil. Because everyone knows you need oil to run your engine. If you get that, bad time. We're using the driven braking oil, the 1040, to get this going. This has got all the right additives to help brake in an engine. Right, so now we've got the oil, we're going to check if we've got oil pressure. We've got 2 ways of doing this because it's a dry sump. We can spin the pump, and then once it's got the pressure for the first time, we've got oil in it, we've got the priming pump, so we can use that as well. But we'll go with the pump first, see if that works. In order to spin the dry sump pump without the engine running, you just need to take the belt off. They come off pretty easy because they're kind of designed, so you should be able to pull them off. Cool. Right, so we've got oil all through the pipes now, all the hoses. So now I'm going to connect that back up, and then Phil should see oil pressure when I do that. Yeah? Way, we've got oil pressure. That's a good start. You can't start your engine without oil pressure. Right, so the last thing we've got to do now, the last fluid to put in the car is for the clutch slave. So yeah, we haven't got a prop shaft on this thing, so this thing here, you can start it without that, but it does move, so it'd be nice to be able to push the clutch. So yeah, Ben, if you pump. Right, there we go. Right, stop.
Makes me want to cooler.
Right, pump it now. Oh, me, hang on. Those aren't tightened.
Oh, she is a gusher.
She is a gusher. Right, so we've got a clutch feel, or clutch bite. So pretty much there. Quick update. We have solved the wiring issue. We have filled all the fluids. We just remembered we have a charge cooler, so we filled that up as well. That's a bit of a to bleed, so they're going through that now. And then we are going to run the pumps, set the fuel pressure to what it was on the Corvette, and then should start, in theory. So yeah, pray for us. So we've just fired up the fuel pumps and primed everything. We've set the base pressure, and now we can do power steering now, or try and crank it. We've sorted out the fuel system, we connected the pumps, we've got base pressure set. We're now going to see if it'll crank. We haven't got the plugs connected yet, and we've got the injectors turned off. So, Phil, do you want to give it a press? Yeah. Stop the fire! Stop the fire! The EGT's just sparked. On the EGT sensors just went roasting. Oh, and then, yeah. What happened there? It just started smelling. They went up like a sparkler. Well, that was scary, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So we're seeing if it might have been some earthing issue. We're going to put an extra earth on the block. Yeah, weird. It started glowing like a sparkler. It was quite scary. And I think what we really needed was more pizza. We're hungry. So we've had another earth, we've eaten some pizza, we're going to try again. Come on, Phil. Yeah, look at that. What you doing? I don't know why there's smoke coming out. Yeah, out of the wastegates, I mean, it's open, so it'll be very loud. Well, we've got an open exhaust on the bottom anyway, so no, it doesn't matter. So I think it's time to start it. Right, so we've done as much checks as we can. You always think you can check more, and I'm generally actually super nervous now. It's probably gonna be fine, but yeah, there's a lot of money tied up in there. We've done so much work, and we're about to make a lot of smoke in here when the engine fires up. So best close my pizza boxes, and then put on my ear defenders, and I reckon we go for it. Whenever you're ready, Phil. Just on my other one, if it doesn't fire, sometimes you need to turn it off and on so it primes again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's that?
Oil or fuel or something.
Okay. We've got a small little oil leak. Cool. Whoa! Look at the smoke. What do you reckon, Dad? The fire alarms haven't gone off yet. Do they work? It looks like someone's done a burnout in here. The smoke has somewhat settled. We've got a rotary Volvo. We actually have a working rotary Volvo. And if Mandy at Heathrow Prop Shaft would have sorted us out with the prop shaft in normal time, we'd be driving, but we're not. If you're watching, Mandy, it's your fault. I don't know, I don't really know what to say. It's so good. It looks savage, it sounds savage. Phil's gonna do the last bits of setup, drop the idle, go through all the checks, and then essentially, as soon as we get the prop shaft and we come back from Sweden, we're gonna hit the dyno with this thing and see what it can make. So I hope you're as excited to see that as I am. Please like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.